Hey guys, welcome back to She Became Me podcast. I'm your host, Lentina Rogers, and my co hosts are Ronika Howe,
Hey everyone.
Yolanda J. Brown,
Hi, everyone.
Chino Reeves,
Good morning, good people.
and this is where we unlock pain, passion, and power. And our guest for today is Myra Cassidy. Hey Myra,
Hey,
glad you can make it with us today.
thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I appreciated being a part of your show.
Oh, you're welcome, you're welcome. So I want to just reintroduce this format again to our audience. So we are social distancing, as you can see, and we are recording in the comfort of our homes. And we hope you guys are relaxing and comfortable where you can enjoy the show today. And today's show is, well, this whole month, the topic is about what brings us fear, what makes us feel secure. And the title for this segment for Myra is For the Love of Me. So, Myra is a very interesting young lady. She has so much to share with us today. So, that's why I'm going to ask Myra to go ahead and tell us who is Myra Cassidy. And then we'll get into like what brings you fear and what makes you feel secure. So, go ahead, Myra, share with us who are you?
All right. Well, I am an author, journalist, and motivational speaker. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and that's very important and a key factor into who I am, my journey, and my story, because I've had to overcome so much to break free. And even as a survivor and a single mom, I've had to continue to adjust and overcome certain challenges and difficulties in this new role, in this new life. Not only am I, a writer and author and things of this nature, but I also am a travel advisor. So I work to help brides plan destination weddings, which
Okay.
is an amazing new part of my journey and also something that helps me heal because my two passions are writing and travel. So that's who I am.
Oh, man, that's awesome. How did you come up with that idea about the packaging and the travel and stuff for brides? That's awesome. I've never heard of that before.
Well, you know what? I so of course, I love to write about,
Uh-huh.
I had to really ask myself, what do I love to write about the most? So that's
Okay.
going to be fiction, self-help types of things, and just travel. When I travel, I get a peace of mind, a certain
Mhm.
element that just brings me serenity when I'm traveling in transit, when I'm in a hotel, when I'm relaxing. That just helps to bring me, rest and relaxation. But, besides for being an author and a journalist, I had to have a regular 9 to 5, so to speak, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
I actually worked in the hospitality field for the past several years. And like so many other individuals, when COVID-19 hit, the travel industry took a hit as well. So I found
Right.
myself laid off. And in that time frame, I thought about, I do not like the fact that I can't travel like I used to,
Hmm.
and take my what I would call my mommy retreats or my writing retreats. I would just
Hmm.
go at least, every other month and relax in a hotel. Focus, I need to
Okay.
reestablish and, really just map out what's next for myself and my children without distractions. I need a new
Right.
environment. So it's like, wow, I can't even do that. And when I started to think about how much income that I was generating for, this wonderful, wonderful company, I started thinking, I could start to do that for myself. And I
Hmm.
have all this knowledge about travel. I can do this for myself and make that happen and do and bring my expertise. What's the my areas. What's my niche? You know, that's the big thing. You
Okay.
always hear people talk about my niche. Well,
Right.
I've actually been in weddings ever since I was a little girl. You know, I was the flower girl. I had
Okay.
cousins' weddings I was in and things like that. So that's why I focused on destination weddings, honeymoons, and vow renewal. And also, as a survivor of violence, it does something for me because, you know, when I, divorced, that's not what I wanted. It's what I had to do.
Right.
You know, so my hope is to just help brides plan, you know, one of the most important days of their life. And my hope is that they'll be able to stay in that union and have joy. And I never hope that anyone goes through what I've been through, because it's really, really difficult to walk away from,
Yes.
you know, someone who you love.
Yes.
But you have to choose what's healthy for you and your children. And
Yes.
especially when you look at biblical teachings and things like that being intertwined, it was definitely a journey for me. So just wanted to bring, you know, joy to someone else.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I'm divorced. Well, my kids are grown, so I guess they're adults at this point. But yeah, I definitely can relate to the divorce piece, and that's great that you want to take that negativity, that you have to deal with, and make it into a positive where you want to pour into other people and ensuring that they can try to seal the moment and the beauty of their union. So, my co-host, you guys have any questions off the top for Myra?
Sure. And speaking briefly about your trials and tribulations, what is one of the biggest differences between Myra then and Myra now? Like if you could pick that top thing that's different, what would that be?
Woo. I'm stronger now than I was back then. I'm a lot more confident. I really understand what self-love is because I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because I would think about just how many people I've had in my life, all these relationships I have with people, all these people that I know. I come from a very prominent family as far as people knowing who we were in the religious entity that I grew up in. So my father was a traveling, minister. So we knew lots of people. So I'm definitely a stronger person now because I've had to really hone in on people who are my support system and who would uplift me. And unfortunately, when I was having different trials and tribulations growing up, people always assumed that I had what I needed, and I didn't really have someone to speak those positive affirmations into me or reinforcements into me and to teach me self-love. You know, when you grow up in a Christian community, a lot of people think that it's a given, but it's something that has to be taught and it has to be established at an early age. So definitely I'm a stronger person now than I was then. And I can truly say that I love myself. I'm about making sure that I break generational cycles that are persistent in my family and just making sure my children love themselves. And I constantly ask them, do you love yourself? Do you know you're beautiful? And not just telling my daughters that they're beautiful or my son that he's handsome. It's about telling them that they're smart too. You're smart. You can do whatever you choose to do. Don't think that you can't do something. As long as you have the proper perspective and you put God first, you're going to be fine.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
great.
good. What would you say to the woman that's sitting in the seat in which you've sat in before, that just does not have the strength, does not have the courage or the wisdom to make that move?
I would tell that individual, first of all, that you're going to have to face fear. You're going to have to look fear in the face and know that you can do it. Know that this is just one part of your journey. There's a whole big, kind of if you look through like a hole, like a peephole, you can only see, a little bit. But once you get through that little hole, you open up just all types of opportunities in life. So I would tell that individual, you're going to have to look fear in the face and you're going to have to simply do it, but you cannot do it without the proper planning. You have to find the right individuals who work in these departments of domestic violence, or now it's called, interpersonal violence, to help you map out the right plan. And also, don't always think because you have people, just like I come from a healthcare background too, just because you have people who work in these departments, don't always think you're going to find the right fit right away. There's still things that make a difference as far as finding the right individual to help you, who can relate to you like you need. Because it's surprising how many people who work, who are in a similar situation, who really aren't able to give you support. For example, at one point, I found myself pregnant and in the shelter for women who are abused. And the negativity of the women was just so disturbing. It's like, hey, we're all in the same situation. Why are we tearing each other down? Why are we still doing this? You look cute. Why are we still, we are all in a horrible situation. So it's about finding the right kind of individuals to help you make the right plan. You're going to have to look fear in the face. There were so many times that I would just cry or ask myself, because every single moment wasn't bad. There were good times as well, just all up in between those cycles of abuse. And I had to ask myself, can I do this? How am I going to do this? What's my life going to be like afterward? And I was so scared. So looking fear in the face and just being real about it, thinking about that financial step, thinking about how your life is going to change, because people think once you break free, life is great, life is grand, I'm a survivor of violence, but you have other difficulties too, because now you're a single mom, you got to pay bills, your income is affected. So looking fear in the face, making a plan, knowing that you can do it, and being real, that first year is going to be the absolute hardest. And you just cry your way through it and keep going.
Good. Thank you.
That's good.
That's good.
Myra, with today ending Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and, I applaud you, commend you for your advocacy and your transparency, in sharing your journey. I mean, that's how I met you, and you're learning about your book and all of these things. And so with the current state that we're in with the pandemic, there has been a rise in domestic violence, child abuse, and neglect. And I always, I've seen incidents, related to teen dating violence, and, talking to a young person about understanding the signs is where I want to go with this. How do you, because you're mature as far as you're a mother, you've been married, and we hear a lot about adult stories of domestic violence and overcoming, but and there are some organizations, that focus on this teen outreach piece. But what would you say to any of our viewers that may suspect, that their teen is in a dating violence or relationship situation that is not healthy in this way? And what advice would you give to a young person to see the signs?
Okay. I want to make sure I caught the question accurately. So what signs are young people looking for? I think my internet lagged a little bit. Was that the question, Yolanda?
Can you hear me better? There were a couple. So the first, for the parents who may suspect that their teen is in a domestic or teen dating violence situation.
Okay.
And number two, how would you coach a young girl listening to your story or at this point, I guess we can say even young men, not only boys and men experience it too, but what are some signs of violence or unhealthy scenarios that could, develop into later, tendency to enter into violent situations and relationships?
One thing that is really important as a parent is to have open communication with your children so that you can tell when something's wrong. I think that's a really big problem for a lot of parents. And I look at, it as my, for myself, my own situation with one of my children having to learn her personality and having to learn her as she grew and developed. Because when they're younger, everything's a given. Mom is great. Mom is wonderful. Life is great. You just take what your parents say. If you have a healthy, relationship with your parents, you just take what they say. But then as you grow and become a teenager, you start seeing imperfections in your parents. And you start naturally wanting to grow up and do things on your own. So as a parent, you have to continue to draw your children out and get to know them as they develop. That's so important, because if you don't do that, it's going to be very hard to look for differences and changes within their behavior. And that's the number one thing I would say. Look for any types of differences in their behavior, number one. When you're talking to them, don't ask closed-ended questions, ask open-ended questions, making sure that any person that they're linked up into, that they have a healthy relationship by giving them principles and boundaries and warning signs themselves that they can look at. Now, to be quite real with you, I do not advocate teen dating because I feel like as a teen, you need to learn how to love yourself, be about school, and learn what healthy relationships look like before you go getting yourself emotionally involved in another person. And now we're dating and all this drama, because you can really set yourself up in destructive cycles. And I feel like I can speak on that because I was a teen mom. When I started dating, I was 15. This was something that my parents had taught me not to do, but of course I did it because everybody else was doing it. And I want, why not? It was just a thing to do, to secretly date or whatever. And that individual is an individual who led me to being in a relationship for over 20 years that was abusive. My only one love. And it was a bad relationship. So for parents, I would say notice any differences within your children. Look in, are they starting to be withdrawn? Are they overly defensive? Are some things that I would definitely look for. I feel like I missed one of the parts of your questions because
No, it's perfect.
I missed another part of the question. I'm sorry.
No, you've answered.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. I would say look for any changes within your children's behavior, but also it's about teaching them what a healthy relationship looks like. If you allow your teen to date, this is what's expected. This is what a healthy relationship looks like. Definitely looking for anything where they're feeling withdrawn, that person is having too much control in their life. Are their grades failing? Are they becoming more sheltered and just what appears to be self?
So I got a question.
Go ahead.
And this one, and I'm gonna do this one for the culture. This is for the culture. I know we talk about a lot of domestic violence being within relationships or dating or more close quarters. And I try to ask this question on social media at least once every 2 weeks or once a month. But being the lone male on the show today, I think this is a perfect time to get you ladies' opinions. If you've been paying attention to social media, especially kind of kicked off during the whole Black Lives Matter movement elevating to a higher height, one of the narratives that I've continuously seen on social media and TV is that Black women don't feel protected by Black men. They don't feel safe. All right. So I pose this question to all of you ladies. Do you really not feel like Black men protect Black women?
You want me to answer that question first? Because I have a big issue with that. I have a very big issue with that. In my own personal experience, have I felt protected by Black men? Absolutely not. And it has been, unfortunately for me, a running theme in my life. And you know what? And it's something that hurts so bad, to be quite real about it. For me, I'm the only female out of all my grandmother's grandchildren. So I grew up around boys. And people felt like you have all these boys. If you were really being abused by your husband, one of them would have did something. Your father's in your life. If it was really all that bad, they would have done something. So that has definitely created in me a complex. And perhaps that's one, reason why, I will say that I am okay being single. Because once you've been through hurt like that, it's something that's not natural. It's not natural for a woman not to feel protected, because especially coming from a spiritual background, you're taught that you're the weaker vessel. You're taught that you are to be submissive to your husband. And I have no issues with a woman being submissive to her man. Her man is to lead and to understand that he is being watched and monitored from that higher power. So he has responsibilities and he has things that he has to measure up to. My issue has been coming from a religion, a Christian-based religion, that whenever I report the abuse of my Christian husband, it was overlooked. So I'm looking in the face of Black men over a dozen times, literally over and over and over and over and over again. And they had a responsibility to check this Black man, this Black Christian man, and to tell him not to treat his woman that way. And I feel like, knowing my ex, the way he is, if he would have gotten that intervention earlier, he probably would have made a genuine change. But even any changes that were made were always temporary. And I had to learn that some of these Black men who I was taught to throw my burdens on were abusive themselves behind the scenes. So it's really, really an issue for me as far as not feeling protected and having to learn how to protect myself, even taking self-defense classes, because I am a single mom. I need to know how to protect myself and my children. So that has created in me some type of concern, and having to be content, like I said, with helping people find, the joy in their life through being encouraging and things like that. But when I look at my own personal life, do I feel protected by like Black men? No. I mean, there's been times when, you look at, all of my exes, he has a very big support system. And it just makes me laugh, because it's like, and none of these people in your support system could tell you how wrong you were. And actually, it was a Black man who told me this. He told me, the problem is it takes a real man to check another man.
I would definitely agree with that, Myra. It definitely takes a real man to check another man.
Especially with the religious.
I agree with a lot. Definitely, that's some of the main issues that you pointed out. I would like to add to that.
I don't want to.
Can you hear me, Myra? Can you hear me?
Can you see me? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I was wanted to add to that. Definitely, you pointed out some very good topics and facts that is mainly some of the problems. But listening to what you said, it just made me realize how blessed I was. My father actually made me feel protected. That was the first person that made me feel protected. He planted at least 2 seeds in my life that made me feel that way, telling me that my job was to go to school, get an education, and he would take care of me. The second seed I would say is that when I got married at 22 years old, when he was walking me down the aisle, he told me, if you ever have a problem and he don't want you, he can always give you back to me. So these are some of the things I think that early on made me start to understand how a man should be protecting me. So my brother as well has always been, protective of me, or paying attention to if I seem unhappy or my mood or something is wrong. And he's always made it his business to try to protect me as well. So definitely, I can definitely see the difference. And if women feel like you didn't have those things going on, because somebody should be checking on you, look, know you well enough to know that something's not right. So I can see how some women do, do not feel protected, but I felt protected. But Rodnika and Yolanda, what did you guys
Um, I, I think that just being in a similar situation, I didn't have domestic violence, but I went through, I've been through a divorce as well. And my husband's position, especially like in the community, um, and it was just shocking that everyone knew what was going on but me. And then when I did find out, it was just like no one checked in, no one on me and my children, but everyone still supported him in what he in his role in the community, as though like nothing happened. And then when he stepped out of that role, I mean it was 4 years that he still got support. And I mean, and we were in an organization like together. So, I mean, and being married for 14 years, it was just like, okay, like, where's the support? Like, it's like there was like a pat on the back for him, and he still received the support from everyone around him. And then here I am, start over, everything fresh. And I had to like basically just find my way, me and my children, make a way for myself and my children. But no one ever, it was just like more of a support than hey, like, this is wrong, this is what the word says, this is how this should be. Everyone was pretty much like backing what he was doing, and it was like no slap on the wrist, no, hey, let me pull you over to the side, I'm your keeper, let me show you how this will, none of that. And so as a support, no, because even my father, there was a separation, there was a divorce, but it's still a, hey, how's such and such? Like, no one ever was like, no accountability whatsoever. So so now being single, it's also a blessing. And in that, just finding myself again, pouring into myself, investing into myself, and making sure that my boys and my daughter, it is so important, the support, and how if you're going to be in a relationship, in a marriage, like, you don't ever allow anything to come in and sabotage. And you have to really, really support your mate. Stand for your relationship by all means necessary. You just don't allow things in to just come in and wreck the whole world. So but as far as a support, like, I don't feel a support from our Black men. I just don't.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I think, it's a really good question. It is, I think, so much like when I was, I know your question is not just about, in dating situations, but I will never forget, one of my most significant relationships. The person told me that I was prone to manipulation because I didn't have brothers. My father he wasn't absent from my life, but when I was younger, he's always lived out of state the majority of the time. And so, and my grandfather, who was a significant model in my life, had, passed away. And he was the stronger male presence. And, I was told that that when a female doesn't have active men in her life, that it's easy to manipulate that female. And so when that was said to me, because I don't have brothers, I have a sister, and when that was said to me, that changed my whole frame of discussing with men when they would ask my history or seek information about me, to over exaggerate the presence of males in my life, even if it was exaggerated a little bit, so that they would not try to take advantage of me. Or, you know, glory be to God that I have not had to deal with any violent scenarios, you know, and that is something that I believe I had a fear of it. I mean, I went overboard to try to keep that anyone from thinking that they could try me in that way, because, you know, because I knew that males weren't actively around me, you know, but I did not have a problem like calling on cousins and things like that. But here's the piece, Chino, that really I have grown, even going into when I knew it would become my marriage and a man that would become my husband. I believe there's nothing more beautiful than a man covering his woman in faith and prayer. And I think as a community, men have to step up in this way and let women know they are covered, not just financially, not just, you know, in those other ways of security, but truly knowing that they are strong in their faith and that they're going to seek, as Tina says, be accountable to the source. Because when you're accountable to the source, you will make Black women and all women, daughters, everyone feel secure, because you're going to speak first from a place of, I got you, but I got you because I know that I'm submitting to the source. You know, and it really makes a difference. I think but it's full circle because it involves everybody being tapped into the source. Amen. But it's just something about men covering women from that perspective that helps us feel more secure. Or I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for all women, but I think that's so important.
Yeah.
And as a community, will aid in community healing.
Yeah.
With everything that's happening.
Yeah, and that was a good question, Chino. A lot of people have been talking about that. So that leads us to the part of the show that what we do she-mail. And I think we got time for a really quick question, and we'll just give a quick opinion because we're almost out of time for this segment. But let's see what we can get real quick and what we can give an opinion on. Can a man and a woman ever just be friends? Can a man and a woman ever just be friends? So if you guys can give a quick opinion about that, we got about 2 minutes, and we can before we have to close out. So what do you guys think? Can a man and a woman ever just be friends?
I believe so. Because if you've had someone that you've grown up with since childhood, and there's no like physical attraction, that you consider them as a brother or they consider you as a sister. I have a couple of actual like guy friends that we've remained friends since like junior high school. So and there's absolutely like they have spouses, wives. So there's absolutely nothing outside of like a brotherhood, sisterhood type relationship. So they're like a part of my family.
Okay. What you think, Chino?
Sorry, absolutely. But I try to be extremely careful with that friend thing, you know. And I actually don't use the term female friends anymore at all. I'll say I have some female associates,
right?
And that's because as a man who wants to have a wife, I want to make sure that I concretely have a separation between what those lines are. And, you know, I'm just being honest. If I got to go and change a tire, I want to go change my woman's tire. I don't want to go change my female friend's tire. So, you know, I do believe that they can have a friendship and it not cross that line. I mean, I have some female associates that I've been knowing since middle school where that attraction you were saying, that none of that is there. But I think that those relationships, because even though it's a friendship, it's a relationship. I feel like those work because
Yeah.
of the purpose that lines that connection between us, right?
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
purpose for the relationship that we have isn't romantic and marriage and things of that nature. And I think it also works because it's always been mutually beneficial for the both of us and for our families.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. I'm gonna piggyback off of that real quick because we got about a minute left to get Rolanda and Mara in. But definitely what Chino was saying, you have to be careful because you need boundaries. And your
That's
boundaries
right.
have to be clear, precise, and the things that you do for your woman or your wife, you should not be doing for friends. So you have to define what that looks like. And when you could do that, then I think it's very possible, but you have to have really tight, firm, clear-cut boundaries. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. And it goes both ways. So, Yolanda, you got something? And then we'll get to Myra.
No, I'm good. I ditto.
Okay, what about you, Myra? You want to add something else to that? You want to add something to that, Myra? Can a
Oh,
man
you
and a
know
woman
what?
just be friends?
I don't really have an add on to that, but I definitely dig all the comments on that. I really, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Okay. Well, guys, I want to thank Myra for joining us today. We
Yes.
really enjoyed all your contributions to this segment. You really gave our viewers a lot that they can hold on to and, a lot to think about. So you have anything else that we did not ask you, Myra, that you'd like to add before we close out?
Just want to give a shout out to my website, MiraCassidy.com, because it's all about trying to build, right, and build connection network. So definitely MiraCassidy.com. Check out my book on Amazon. Let Me Tell It, based off of my experiences in domestic violence, and then of course bounce back from tragedy. And I also am going to have a travel journal coming out very, very soon as
Okay.
well.
All righty, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for today. And once again, it's that time that we must say goodbye. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.